Good evening and welcome. Our study of literacy and instructional methods is in a very condensed version, 7-week courses. Those of you who've taken them before, you understand that basically what we've done is we've taken a 14-week long course and we've compressed it, we've condensed it into 7 weeks. So I opened this up. We've had this open for quite a while now, the Moodle. And because it is such a compressed course, I have everything completely opened up for you. Some of my students who take this course finish it early. They finish it in like, 3 or 4 weeks. You can work ahead. You're welcome to work ahead. I especially have that in the spring when students are trying to kind of like get things done around spring break. They'll try to work ahead, to get around the spring break. We know our students in our P-12 schools are not going to be there for us to observe or do any of the major assessments with. So we'll just take a quick moment and you'll notice that everything is open, fully open. So feel free to work ahead if you would like. If I see that you're working ahead, I'll always try to go in and give you some feedback so that if you need to resubmit something, you can. Like, let's say that we're only in week 1 and you're already in week 3. I'll try to give you some feedback about what you're submitting because you're so far ahead of the due date that you could have time to make some changes before you had to submit that. So I'll just take a quick minute to navigate the course and show you where everything is. You will notice that our announcements are at the very top as typical with courses, but then I also put an introduction here. I have put little Easter egg videos throughout the course. And I try to put them where I think you'll need them because the course is asynchronous and online. You really are pretty much self-facilitating this. It is a 3-hour credit course. There's no way that this 6 o'clock to 6:50, there's no way that this is not meant to actually be the teaching component. That's why you're going to see videos everywhere. So I highly recommend that you set aside about 3 hours per week to review the coursework and actually work on major assessments. And then I also would make sure that you're allocating 1 to 2 hours per week of being in the field and actually doing some of the work and getting some of your observations. So the syllabus is here. Please read through it very carefully. I detail everything. I put more in there than what you really want to know. But typically, people are wanting to know like what the late work policy is. Can they turn in late work? And all of that is addressed in the syllabus um, in pretty great detail and how to turn it in, how to do things like that. The course calendar, I went ahead and opened up for you up here at the top. So I have laid out the date with what we're doing every week. And what you're going to notice is this is how we are going to study. So the 14 weeks compressed into 7 weeks. Essentially, what this means is we're covering about 2 weeks of content per week. And the way that we do that is if you'll look at the top, for example, like module 1 is the focus of it is the power of literacy. So that is our lecture and lesson portion. And then the second portion of it is the teaching cycle with pre-assessment stage 1. And that would be the major assessment portion that week. And you'll see every single module is broken down like that. The due dates are present, as well as if you look in red, I've also put the suggestions for how you need to be getting your hours of field experience. So we do have 15 hours of field experience. However, I have embedded 8 of those hours in your observations. So if you scroll down, you can see in the very first module, I actually have a narrated video that walks you through how to get your observation hours. And I went ahead and opened up the observation field experience document. And if you scroll down, I also look right here in blue, it's hyperlinked. The video is right here for you again so that you could refresh yourself on it if you need to. The rubric is here. And then if you look at this chart, everywhere that you see my name, my signature, this is the assessment that you're going to be working on. And this is one of the field hours, one of your field experience hours. And that's based on previous students telling me it takes approximately an hour to either collect this data or to analyze this data. And so you'll notice that 8 of your hours actually come from your major assessments. So that means that only 7 of them come from your guided typical observations where you go in a class and you sit down and you collect data. So the rest of them are built into the actual assessments themselves, where you will be collecting data from students, analyzing data, and then teaching a field lesson, which is down below, and planning for that field lesson down below. So you get credit, you get hour credit for all of those major assessments in this course. That's really the only way it's going to work in a 7-week course. There's just not enough time to do that. So there are 2 different forms here. Because you are you have an in-person placement, which we'll talk about in just a moment. I had more time to talk with Dr. Thomas about that earlier today. So if you are in the field getting your guided observations, you will use this form. I went ahead and opened it up for you right here. This was something that was a little bit confusing for those of you who maybe don't use Google very often. So you are not going to type in this field. You can either, there are 2 ways you can do it. And I actually walk you through that on this observation right here where this video, I walk you through this, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you now. You can either do file up at the top and you can make a copy of this yourself. And then you can type into it and it's a digital version that you can save to your own Google Drive if you want to do it that way. Or you can download it, those of you who prefer Word, and you can download it to a Microsoft Word document and save it to your hard drive. And it's editable. You can type straight into this form. So you don't have to do scripting and analyzing. In fact, many of you, you might actually be interacting with the students. You might be going around the room. You might be working with a small group, in sections, doing different things like that. So this might be something that you do after the observation. And you can see it's pretty much broken down that it would allow you to interact with the students. And then at the end, or after you've done those that field experience, go back in and fill out what you did here. And that's how you receive your credit for it. So you'll see that in the observation, I actually walk you through, it's right here. Yeah, I walk you through step by step. This is the chart, and then step by step, it tells you, sorry, up here, it tells you exactly how you're going to upload those later in the course. I think we do it in like module 6. You upload all of your field experience hours. So typically people are kind of interested in that. Your placement for it is the same one that you're using, Music Education 320. And I understand that 10 of those 15 hours for Music Education 320, you actually do it Dolby, like with your professor. The other 5 hours, he said that you are allowed to choose whatever field placement you would like. So that was my understanding as well, is that you guys have a lot of autonomy in selecting where you want to get those hours, your field hours for this class. That's why at the very beginning of this, before we actually even started the class, I asked you to email me. Do you already have a connection? Do you already have a field placement? Or do you need me to find a field placement for you? And I think almost everybody has done that by now, and that's pretty much worked out for everybody. If you could just hang around tonight if you don't have a field placement, and we can talk about either how you could find your own, or we can use our resources and I can find one for you. I want to do whatever works best for you guys. I know that you have coursework at McNeese that you're trying to juggle things with, and also a lot of the other bands, ensembles, and things like that that you participate in. So we just want to make sure that it is convenient for whatever placement you already have. We're not trying to add an additional burden to your placement there. So the course itself, the focus of the course is the power of literacy and instructional methods. So essentially what we use is the science of reading. And when we talk about literacy in the very first module, that's what I do, is dispel the myths. We are not just talking about traditional um, print text. We're talking about, yes, we are talking about that type, but we are also talking about speaking, listening, um, reading, and writing. And that also is very specific for your content area. So music has its own language. It has its own symbol system, and that is a type of literacy. Helping our students navigate and engage with that type of literacy is very important. So each module is going to focus on a different feature. Module 2 actually explains to you what the science of reading is. Modules 3 and 4, you actually begin talking about some of the strands of the science of reading. It is compared to a rope, and there are different strands that we focus on. Module 5, we actually talk about strategies that we can use to help our students in any instructional setting. So even if we aren't using traditional print text, instructional strategies that we can leverage to make sure that they are engaged and motivated and that they're actually learning. And then module 6, we actually kind of stop and we hover a little bit. And this is an opportunity for you to revise any of the assessments that you have submitted in modules 1 through 5. So you actually have every single week you are submitting something to a discussion board. And the point of that discussion board is we really want to engage peer insight here. So you may, feel really confident about what you're doing, with discussion board stage 1, but maybe a peer doesn't feel as confident. And so everybody's going to upload their rough drafts. This gives you an opportunity to leave feedback to one another and to actually see the way other people have approached the task. Typically, that type of insight and that type of sharing is exactly what you need to be able to tie up the loose ends, of your assessment. So discussion boards 1 through 5, these are participation grades. I am not out to get you. I am not out to get you. I'm not out to rip you apart. I am out to, we're trying to provide guidance. And at this point, we're using peer collaboration to improve our own understanding and our own work of how best to support students. Module 6 gives you an opportunity at that point to go back to all of those discussion board submissions, look at how your peers did it, take an opportunity to look at the feedback and make your final changes that you want before you submit for summative grades in module 6. In module 7 is where you are going to upload your field experience. And this, we also talk about reading difficulties and disabilities in that particular portion. And then lastly, in module 8, which it's only a 7-week course, but module 8 is what we use for like those last 3 days. And these are your final assignments. So this is where you upload your field lesson, and you will also have a brief course reflection, self-evaluation and course reflection. And of course, all of this is broken down in the course calendar and in the syllabus with full rubrics and everything attached. So one thing I do want to do before we move on is please notice that for every single module, I have a video of the lesson. And then when it comes to the actual assessment portion, I'm just going to take a moment to show you what's in here. I review the main outcomes that you need to get from the assessment. And I also review, I have a video for you. I tried to make the videos no longer than 15 minutes, and most of them are closer to the 10-minute mark, okay? So I know that your time is valuable, and so I try to keep them as concise as possible. And then I also want to show you that for every single one, I've put the rubric is here, the directions are here, and then samples. Everybody loves samples. And so I've tried to select some of the very best samples that I have to be able to show you what is needed at each portion of this. All right, I am going to go back to the main page, and then I know that some of you may actually have some questions. So we'll stop and have some time for Q&A.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Uh, I just have a question about the field placement
Sure,
portion. So
sure.
and I already emailed you about this. My name's Cassandra. Hi.
Yes,
And
yes, thank you so much.
so I pick a teacher that I've already observed or that I'm going to observe.
Either one. And I'm glad you're actually bringing this up. Some of you really want to focus in the elementary area. And some of you are, you want to maybe middle school band or high school band. So this class actually gives you an opportunity to either A, go ahead and select a placement that you have previously had that you just want to explore more, like you had a good experience there and you just want to continue. Feel free. You can revisit that as long as it's okay with that mentor placement. Or you might want to try something different. So maybe it's a placement that you've never had before. And in that case, I can help you, or one of your other music ed professors can help you. Dr. Thomas was saying he doesn't mind at all helping kind of make some of those connections as well. And so, or I know Miss Powers is very good about that with art ed. Whatever direction you would like to go, we want to support you. Most of you already have a connection and kind of like, you're like, no, this is convenient for me. It's easy for me to get my hours here. I would like to go to this one. You're welcome to do that. The only way that would be a roadblock is if maybe the mentor is either A, unable, maybe this semester they're just like, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. I am having a surgery. I'm not even going to be here. It's going to be a sub. Oh, okay. Well, we'll help you find one. Or maybe they already have too many people that are observing them and they say, I can't facilitate, one more person. Then we would definitely want to make sure that we're helping you find a placement. In most cases, they're happy to have you, and you typically, in some capacity, some of you guys are already working on their campus or, maybe doing, practice lessons or something with their students. So, Cassandra, if you already have a placement, you're welcome to pursue that. But if not, we will help you find one.
I do want to have my main focus because I want to be a middle school band director. So, and in elementary, I've already did my 10 elementary observation.
Great.
Yeah. So could I use the elementary? I'm just wondering if it would just facilitate that's like my primary thing because I want middle school to be my primary thing. Do I have to go to middle school in order to do it?
No, you do not.
Okay.
It's completely free choice. Whatever grade. I know for some of your other music education courses, it's very specific. Like you've got to be, in a certain, this is not that kind of class. It's very free choice. The materials are easy to overlay on any grade level. So that makes it easy. That's a very good question. Any other questions either about field placement or maybe something else? You might have a different question. One thing I want to address is sometimes people often ask, are the Tuesday nights mandatory, like from 6 to 6:50? They are not mandatory. I only make the first one mandatory simply because I want you to see me. I want you to hear me. sometimes things, and this gives you an opportunity to look at the class and then, ask me if you have any questions about anything. What I typically try to do is just from 6 to 6:50 on Tuesdays, I'm literally just on this Zoom link, and you can pop in and ask a question like in real time if you need to. If I'm ever not going to be able to be on here, I always put it on announcements in advance, and I always try to make sure that those announcements are going to your email. I am highly accessible by email during the week. I'm not as accessible on the weekends. I try to be, but sometimes I'm not. I am a caregiver for family members. And so sometimes I'm just playing catch up on the weekends, doing things that they need done around their home. But during the week, I try to be highly accessible as far as responding to emails and as necessary, you know, getting on a Zoom and answering questions if you need to. So, one thing I do want to say with you is because it is an asynchronous class and we do a lot of digital communication, please do not think I'm in any way ever trying to be snarky to you or smart aleck to you. Sometimes I'm literally doing talk to text. And if it comes across like I'm smart aleck, that's not my heart. That's not who I am. It's not in any way. I'm never going to try to make you feel stupid. And I don't ever want you to think that there is a stupid question ever. There's not. And I never want it to come across that way. If it does, please know that's not my heart. I apologize in advance. I'm here to support you, and I'm here for us to work together to make sure that we are the best teachers we can be. So if it ever comes across, I know in digital communication, sometimes things can come across that way, and I'm never going to take that from you. I'm never going to think that that's your intent. So please don't think that's mine either, because it's not. Sometimes I know you guys are juggling a lot. You're juggling bands and ensembles and all the things. And we're just in a hurry sometimes when we're responding. So that's never my intent ever. And I'm recording tonight. I know several people had, like, just for as an example, I know they were having to play for the basketball pep band. I had like 4 people sent me, their little excuse thing about where they would be tonight. That's y'all's lives. I know it is. I understand. So, any other questions as you begin to work through and navigate? Let me just tell you, one of the things I really, really highly recommend you do is right here at the top is the Major Assessments Quick Guide. This is what it looks like. And I'm sorry, not that one. This one. Right here is a hot linked narrated version. If you have not already listened to this video, watched this video, and read through this assessment quick guide, I highly recommend you start here because this will give you an idea. These are the assessments for the course, the major assessments. And I feel like if you could have a big overall understanding of how everything is connected, which is what this quick guide does, it makes it very easy for you to plan. And it's actually what students who were able to finish the course so early, like some students finish the course, everything's open. So you can do everything ahead. And they finish it sometimes like in a month. And they say that this is what really helps them be able to finish the course in about a month, is they get a good understanding of what the major assessments are, and they just schedule everything with that mentor teacher and just kind of dive in there. So that's my recommendation for starting, is get a good understanding of the major assessments quick. And I'll just leave space for anybody else to ask questions. I am recording. And so if you don't have any other questions, good evening. I actually recognized a lot of your names from some previous courses that we had together. And so it was good to be able to see those on my roster again. Most of you, it was for online courses. I know that online courses work better for music ed students. So if I ever see you in person and I don't automatically say hello, or maybe you don't to me, trust me, I'm not doing it on purpose. I know your name. I know what you're writing about, and I know who you are. I know who, maybe your profile picture is too small for me to make that connection. So, but make sure you say hello to me if you recognize me so that I can actually put real faces with your name. So, if you don't have any other questions, you're welcome to go and just reach out if you do have any questions as you move through the content. And I hope you all are having a great week. And I'm sticking around for anybody who has specific questions or field placement issues or anything like that.
I just had a question about the observation hours. I know you went over it, but I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And like
Sure.
when I looked at it, it was still kind of confusing. So it's like total of 15 and 8 of them, is that like based on like homework? And the
Yeah.
7 are like what we actually do, like going to our teacher.
Yes. That's exactly
Okay.
right. That's
Because I
exactly
figured
right.
that's why like your signatures on there, that would make sense.
Yep.
Um, and then other question I had for the teaching cycle with pre-assessment stage 1. I understand like the gist of it, but what would like an example of the pre-assessment be that I can do? I
Teaching
just
cycle. Can you say which one again? Did you say stage one?
yes, ma'am, stage 1.
Okay. So that's going to be like, can you tell me what your content area is?
Music.
Is it,
So
are
I
you,
don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to pull this up. So I actually think I had one. Wait, let me see real quick. I think I had one specifically for music right here. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay. So like major assessment. So it's the major assessment quick guide that I was telling you guys about. And it's at the very top, like with all the resources, the major assessment quick guide. So here's one that you can give, and you can shorten it if you want to, because this one's kind of long, where it says survey of musical interest. Sorry. This one is actually really cool. And a lot of band directors actually like when they do this, when you do this with their students. And it walks you through how to do this with the students and what it means. So here is like an interest inventory. This is just for practice. I do my classwork, and then it tells why, and it gives them like a little Likert scale. I learned to play the instrument because I enjoy learning new things. It's a waste of time because my parents would be disappointed if I stopped. And so you actually don't have to do every single one of these pages, Tiana. You could pick one if you wanted to. Um, so like where it says I learned to play the instrument, you could just do this one page with the students. And there are 6 questions here, and it would show, why the students either practice, why they are interested in their instrument, etc. And then when you get to the bottom, there's actually a scoring scheme that you can use. Now, this one is super long, like I mentioned. It's a lot of pages to have to copy. But you could actually shrink this down. You could put it on one page if you wanted to and do all 25 questions. They take up a lot of room. Like you could put this all on one page. And this I think is super cool because it's just focused on music. It's like a questionnaire for kids about like, why are you interested in music? If you didn't want to do one that was just music focused, you could do one that was just kind of like generally focused on like their learning styles. And so I included this one too. And this one is just a learning style inventory. And this one's super easy. And they typically love this one because they can score it themselves and then they get to see like, am I visual? Am I an auditory learner? Am I a kinesthetic learner? And of course, in a music class, what do you think most of them are dominant in? That auditory, that sound. And so it's kind of cool to see that. So here's another example of one. So those are just a few that I put for you. You do not have to put these. If you actually Google, like learning style quiz for music or learning style quiz, period. It doesn't even have to just be for music. Lots of things will come up and you're welcome to use any of those.
Uh, I'm kind of looking at the first one. I don't know for sure yet. I have to think about it. But for that first one, do you think that's specific to like an age group, or
Yeah.
I don't know? Would that be weird to give the high schoolers? Because I'm at Iowa, so
No,
like I bounce back and forth between the middle school and high school just because it's so small.
I think that this one would be too high for high school would be fine. Middle school would be perfect. Lower elementary, this is too challenging. But like probably about third grade or above with some support, they would be able to do this.
Okay, I'm just at the 6 through 12, so that would
Yep.
be okay for me.
Perfect. Yeah, this one is perfect, easy to do, and it's pretty fun too. Like when they get finished, they can actually even score themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a fun little activity to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, my computer was having some difficulty.
Okay.
I had a question, just wanted to clarify. So, uh, for the observation hours, do we just pick one grade for every observation, or does it matter if we bounce around from different grade levels?
One grade and one focus class.
One
So
focus.
yes, and I go over that quite a bit in the not only in the teaching cycle portion, but also the field experience portion. And the reason why is all of your assessments need to be with the same class. So Hannah, where's your field placement?
Um, should be with Kelly Clark at
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
John.
St. John. Perfect.
She's having to she said she has to clear it with her administrator, but it should be fine.
Perfect. Okay, so let's say that, like, for example, Miss Clark, I think she teaches all grade levels, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
All elementary.
so you would be allowed, like in these freestyle ones, like number 2 right here, you would be allowed in those blank ones to get any grade. So like you could go hang out with her, let's say that you were going to hang out on Thursday morning. And let's say that like in the beginning, she's with a kindergarten class. And then around 9 o'clock, she's going to switch to a fifth grade class. And then around 10 o'clock, she's going to switch to a fourth grade class or something like that. So for these free ones, those can be any grade level, but the ones that have assessments tied to them, they have to be the same. They have to be the same class, the actual same class, because you're going to collect, like in the beginning, you're going to collect interest inventory for them. And then you're going to collect some assessment data. And based on those two things, you're going to be able to see like, oh, okay, what kind of lesson plan would these kids like? What would be good? That's what you use to analyze your lesson plan. And then in the end, that's how you're making your choices about your field lesson, what to teach them, how to engage them. So the assessment portion has to be all the same class. The free ones can be anything, anywhere.
Okay, so okay, I'm confused.
The
Just want to
ones,
make sure. So
the
the
ones,
ones that you've signed off on, that we still have to get those hours like in the field. That's not because it's a pre-assessment.
yeah, you have to be with them to collect the data.
Okay, I was just confused because it you signed off on it like
I'm going ahead and giving you credit for that because a lot of the work that you're going to have to do might not even be in the classroom for it. Like you might be at home. Like you have
okay,
you have to get the data from the students in the
but we
class.
don't have to like document it
Yes.
anywhere.
I've done
Okay.
it. I've already done your documentation is going to be your actual work that you turn in.
Okay. So
So
we don't
like
have to like for each one, we don't have to go like 6 times and get new
no,
information. You can just go, okay.
yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so like the blank ones, for example, like module 1, what I typically have, and I'm gonna be honest with you, people usually get all of their stuff with the same class. Like that's typically what they do. They're like, okay, I'm gonna go Thursday or Friday morning every week. And so they may have to dip into another class just to get their hours, to finish getting their their hours for it, especially with a 7-week class, you might have to. So let's say for like your focus class, you're going to pick her 5th grade class. And you're able to get most of your hours. So like I'm highlighting here. So you're able to get most of them with that 5th grade class. But man, when we get down to module 6, you realize, oh, I'm missing 2 hours. That's all right. Just hang out with her 2 more hours for her 3rd grade and 4th grade, and you can count those. You just wouldn't put them for the assessment one. And
Okay, so we
Hannah,
only have to document like 7 hours.
that's right. That's right. And I'm really, again, as I mentioned early on, which I'm not sure where you cut out at, but I'm not out to get you. Like with these hours, I'm not out to get you with it. I'm not like if it's a situation where you're like, "Oh man, I got all my hours in the right class, but I only got 2 of them in this other 4th grade class." I am not going to like that would not be a break it situation, I assure you. It'll be
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I think that's all for now.
All
I'll
for now.
probably have.
I know. Email me. Make sure you email me. You'll have my email memorized.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. For those of you who couldn't be here, I'll post the video. Email me if you need me.